Okay, so episode 2 of To Be Hero X, we delve and explore Moon and Nice's relationship primarily. Especially, we explore Moon's backstory. She began as a travel vlogger. As she gained renown and followers, eventually she developed her superpower, teleportation. And that, I believe, is the key takeaway. The superhero ability you develop is based on the desires and wants of your followers. They desired and wanted her to be able to travel the world, to see all sorts of lands and try all different types of foods. And thus, teleportation was the ability which was born. Moreover, the changing beliefs and desires of your followers can change the qualities of your superpower. While at the beginning, Moon could travel anywhere she desired. But now, currently, there's only one place she can travel to, Nice's side, because her followers desire for her to be with Nice, so that's where she can teleport to be. We also learn that there can be some negative side effects, unintended consequences of these superpowers. As Moon tells Lin about the original Nice, he was terribly afflicted with OCD because of his powers. He could not handle any imperfection because his persona is the perfect embodiment of a hero of justice, of order. A hero fights chaos. And if you're the perfect embodiment of order, you cannot condone any degree, any smidge, not a single iota of chaos, of disorder, of anything out of alignment. And here opened my eyes to a lot of the deeper metaphors and themes To Be Hero X is exploring. Idolatry, false idols, the secularization of society, and then raising normal humans to the levels of gods. When people, celebrities, become larger than life, and the perceptions and beliefs of the people have of them versus what an individual sees themselves as. And as that gap grows wider, the dissonance within one's identity, the psychological struggle and confliction grows deeper. And Nice could not handle the gap, the dissonance between the perfect embodiment of a hero and the human being that he was. And it got to a point where the only out was to kill himself. Huge psychological talk happening in the backgrounds of the show. It's fun on the surface, but the psychological and philosophical concepts being explored about perception and identity and the current state of fame and celebrity and false idols in a secularized society are next level. We also get on the surface of this episode is a bit of Stockholm syndrome bonding. The manager of the company decides that the next phase is for them to get married. Nice and Moon. She refuses. Obviously, she wants out. She's done. She knows that Nice is dead and Lin is a fake. She's done. But the manager is not taking no for an answer and decides to lock them in the apartment no Wi-Fi, no delivery service. Just the two of them stuck there with nothing to do. And it goes on for a month. Eventually, Lin decides, hey, what if we kill Moon, because that's a better story. It has more drama. People are going to be more enticed, more enthralled, more empathetic with Nice as a hero if he suffers a tragedy. So they decide to have Wreck, Nice's arch nemesis, who is fabricated and controlled by the company and is not really a villain, wreck their wedding and kill Moon. So now we also get to explore another concept, and that is there may be two types of villains. Wreck is an arch nemesis, but he was best friends with the original Nice. They grew up together, they were idols together. But when they both decided to become heroes, he got the script of being the arch nemesis. So I don't think his superpower is fueled from fear as Lin's marketing boss was in the first episode. Maybe the arch nemesis has his own following of his own on the public and they see him in a certain way which gives him power. So even a villain can be fueled through trust value. Whereas his old boss was fueled by fear alone and controlled that through the Spotlight organization. Interesting. And they battle. Wreck discovers that Nice isn't Nice anymore, and all his hopes are lost, and he's never going to be the hero he dreamed of. And Moon dies. She doesn't die. But as Lin carries her down, Tokyo Ghoul style, he begins sobbing and crying. Not because Moon as a person is dead, but Moon, the idol, the one he worshipped, the goddess, the ideal of her was gone and dead and over. When he was in his most hardest of times, lowest of lows, he looked up to her and sought refuge in her. And this again is hearkening back to the secularization of society and people seeking where people originally went to religion for. Through these false idols, he looks up to Moon. He seeks refuge and solace and salvation through this person. She's just a human, but he sees her as something so much more. And having to deal with the death of that was a huge loss for him, losing his God. God died to him that day in his arms. So that's it mostly for the episode. The only other things that happened, Enlightener became God's Eye because the Spotlight organization persuaded him into giving into fear as his power source. And then we did, at the beginning of the episode, mostly skip over the fact that at the end of the first episode, we had that huge cliffhanger with Moon being dead in bed. I believe it may be an indication of foreshadowing to come. It may have just been foreshadowing for her fake death, but the scene was much too sinister and eerie, I believe. I think her real life may be in danger later on in the show, possibly through God's Eye. And maybe Lin is developing a secondary ability for premonitions, and that's what we saw. He had a premonition about what was going to happen, a super spider sense per se. So that's where we're left at the end of episode 2. Great world building. The only other thing I would note is when Moon finally leaves, she asks Nice what his plans are, and he can't respond. He doesn't know what to say. The TV is on the background, and then the news talks about how Nice is going to be competing in the Heroes Ranking tournament. And then she responds, "Oh, well, good luck with that." But he couldn't. This is a great explicit metaphor for he doesn't have his own voice yet. Nice isn't who he is, and Lin doesn't know who he wants to be, what he wants to do. Only what the company, the persona, the perception his followers want him to be. Moon left with her identity, herself intact, and got to be free, while he's shackled by the company, the perceptions, his believers. It was a great contrast there, juxtaposition, to clear the difference between the two. Yeah, but that's it for episode 2. Let me know what you guys thought. Thanks for listening. Peace.